So the main focus of today, ta-da! I got it switched over. We are going to do a tier list.
Two tier lists, probably. To be honest with you guys, we're kind of filling the void here because we haven't had D&D, so we don't have anything to really talk about.
Yeah. But we wanted to bring D&D back into the podcast.
Yeah, because we haven't talked about it in a while. So we're doing a breakdown of the classes. We're going to have a little discussion about it back and forth about, like, classes. We've played most of these classes or seen them played in our group.
Yep.
Not just strength, but role play opportunity.
Right. Not what's meta, but what we think brings the most interesting aspect to the table.
Yep.
So our first option here is Barbarian, and we actually we like Grizzly, the part-time host, is a Barbarian main. He mainly plays Barbarian, so we've been able to see a good chunk of how good a Barbarian can be.
Yep. I'm putting Barbarian in A tier.
I agree. Look at that. See, we can come to terms at some point.
The reason being, normally before playing with Grizzly, I would put it in D tier. Because your opportunities are like, oh, big dumb smash.
Mm-hmm.
But Grizzly has done this with characters where they're not necessarily intelligent characters, but they're not morons.
No, I think that moron stereotype needs to die.
Yeah, so like Walter, because the issue with it, this isn't me calling out Critical Role. The issue is Grog was such a popular character with Critical Role, and he's just a big dumb. I want to rage, smash. So that kind of became the archetype for barbarians.
Mm-hmm.
Grizzly has played a
Minotaur.
Grizzly's played a Minotaur wild magic barbarian. Super fun, super cool. It actually saved him in a fight with another Minotaur when he was fighting his big bad evil guy.
Yep.
Because he got the teleport one.
He was able to teleport out of the range of the charm spell, right?
Yep.
It's such a dramatic moment. It was so good.
Yep. Or no. When he fought the Minotaur, he got the one where he could throw his weapon and call it back.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And then in Plague's campaign, he's playing a Path of Giants, which is a new one in one of the books that just came out recently. Where you basically grow one size when you rage. There's some other bonuses, of course, but that's like that's the short summary of it.
Yeah, you get like elemental powers with it as well, but yeah,
Yep.
you gain a size, which is huge.
Yep, especially when you're playing like with like a lot of buff, like a bard, a wizard, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I went from medium to large. Oh, now I'm large to huge.
Mm-hmm. And now you just have to deal with a huge raging beast as a DM.
Yep. And I think at a certain level, I think the Path of Giants, I haven't looked that deep into it, but I think Path of Giants, you eventually can gain 2 sizes.
Oh, fuck.
I believe. Don't quote me on that, because I might be wrong.
Yeah, no, I think Barbarians are a very good melee-focused class. They do things very well. The rage mechanic where you take half damage, that will always come in handy. You can basically just double your health pool.
Yep.
With an ability that you get at level 2? 1?
1. You get it at 1.
Yeah, you double your health pool.
Yep.
So that's always really cool. Yeah, I like the Barbarian a lot.
Yeah, the Barbarian's a lot of fun. It is a class that I would recommend for new players. It's super easy to get the grasp of what a Barbarian does.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you can also fall into a trap of like it's too simple.
Mm-hmm. I say use your imagination to create a very interesting Barbarian, so that way it doesn't roll into the stereotype of me big, me hit with big weapon.
Yeah. Like
use roleplay elements to kind of facilitate anything that's missing from the gameplay element of the Barbarian.
Yep.
That's what Grizzly does, and he does it very well.
Yep. Yeah, his characters are always a lot of fun.
On to your baby class or baby boy. I was going to say baby class.
So we say that I say I'm a bard main. and I say it often. However, upon reflecting on past campaigns, I'm definitely a paladin main. Bard, I'm putting S.
Bard, you're putting S? You know? Out of any of the supportive classes, I would agree. I want to say you can just do so much with a bard.
Yeah. And, you know, there's always the horny bard. If you're doing that, I'm putting you in D.
Yeah,
Actually, I'm putting on your level. I'm putting E. You're going on E. I'm putting you under the floorboards because there's so much more to a bard. There's so much like you can do as a bard. Seducing doesn't necessarily mean you're sleeping with them.
That's true. Charm.
Seducing might be like, oh, you're at the bar and you know the bartender was just serving some high politicians, and you might be seducing her to give you information.
Yeah.
You might just be flashing her the baby blues, as it were.
A little puppy dog eyes to get what you want.
Yeah, you know, and you know the promise that you know you're gonna take her to bed or whatever, but you know,
you don't have to do that.
No, the bard is such a good, interesting class. In my campaign, your wife played a bard, and I felt so bad because all of her spells are pretty short ranged, so she would just get smacked by whatever we were fighting.
Right, but she also had the advantage of having Tiny Hut.
Yep.
So it just basically solved all of our issues all the time.
Yeah. So Tiny Hut plus a Circle of Dreams Druid, just no one can interact with you guys with the party while they're sleeping, which is pretty hilarious.
No, it was really broken, really fun in a good way because it doesn't take away from anything. But yeah, no, you can do so much with bards. There's not a bad subclass of bards, especially for like fun moments at the table.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I completely agree with S. So 2 for 2. Look at us agree.
Yep.
Wow.
This is probably where we're gonna disagree.
Okay, you go first. You tell me.
Cleric, I'm putting in C.
Okay, that is lower than what I was gonna have it. I was gonna have it in A. Would you agree with B? Okay, give me your defense. So
the reason my issue with cleric is I feel like it doesn't do anything that the paladin doesn't kind of already do.
Oh, so you mean a wuss that can't smite?
In my mind, like the cleric feels like a lesser paladin. Sure, you have the healing capabilities and stuff, but bard also does and can do it more often. So
I feel like clerics get access to so many good spells though on top of the healing spells.
They do, but so do bards.
Yeah. You know, I can agree with C. I'll give it C, but it's high C.
Yeah, I would say high C. What was your defense for it being B?
Well, it's mainly just the fact that I feel like the cleric gets access to everything you could ever want that you're not limited to small versions of. Like, I want high damage AoE spells. The cleric has it. I want long range spells. The cleric has it. I want good healing that can keep my party alive. Cleric has it. I want to not die in one hit. Cleric has it.
Yeah, but it falls into the jack of all trades, master of none.
You know what? Yeah, I'll give you that.
That's my counter argument with that.
I'll give you that.
Druid.
Ooh.
We have not seen a lot of Druid play. Plague, I've given my opinion first for the last 3.
Okay.
Give us your opinion.
From a specific role play perspective, I want to put Druid in A. I think there's
everything in A, huh?
No, you shut the fuck up. It's a good class. The main reason why is because again, this is not for meta. This is not for what should you play right now. It's like druids get access to so much extra role play and extra like imagination moments for people that can really
Sure.
just cement them into that world. And I feel like that's super interesting. Like if you become a druid and you have a specific animal that you want to be, you basically have two party members in one.
That's true. You know, there's also the option for animal companionship and etc.
Yeah,
with the druid.
that is true.
Yep, that's true. I'm going. My vote was B.
Okay.
For much the similar reasons as you, but I feel like they're kind of. It's kind of countering my argument of cleric. They're kind of a one-trick pony.
Mm-hmm. They're a better one-trick pony because they can turn into a pony.
But they're like, as a druid, you're very much like, oh, nature. Yeah, I'm in tune with nature. That's my thing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
With roleplay, it's you're kind of just stuck in that one box.
Right.
Okay,
I can agree with B. I can agree with B.
Which brings us to fighter.
Easy S.
Really?
Easy S.
You're going S?
So, I play a gunslinger, which is a subclass of a fighter in most versions.
Yes.
However, my gunslinger is through the heavy arms module. But basically it gains a lot of the good of a fighter without dedicating it to a fighter. But getting action surge, the champion subclass, fucking multi-attack with most fighters, doing 6 rounds of damage in one turn. I suppose that is going a little meta. Fighters are also pretty generic.
Yep.
So
that being, and this isn't. We should preface this with this isn't saying that the way you play your class is wrong. This isn't us saying the way you role play character. Your fighter might be a super interesting character,
right?
But we're saying as a whole, in my opinion, fighters are also a C.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because I'm sorry, but Human is not exactly Human, the human variant fighter. Probably not a very interesting character.
Yeah, I kind of bit my tongue there towards the end where I was like, oh, but it is kind of generic.
Yeah, you were immediately like, oh, I don't want an S anymore.
Yeah, no, I was going to drop it down to like a B.
I can agree with B.
Okay.
Because fighter, there's a lot of really interesting fighter subclasses.
Yeah, the champion is super cool.
Champion's kind of lame. But Echo Knight's real cool.
Rune Knight, is Rune Knight a fighter subclass?
Yes.
That sounds super cool.
It's super cool. Rune Knight's cool. Echo Knight's cool. And for those reasons, I can put it up to B.
Okay. I don't have a lot of experience with Monk. I always hear just bad things. Like a Monk is just a fighter that punches. Which, yeah, if you can make it interesting, absolutely. Like 100%. But like from dabbling a bit into the gameplay side of things, I don't see any subclasses that are genuinely interesting in my eyes, even from like a roleplay perspective. I feel like if you wanted to play a melee-based class, you have barbarian and fighter available to you, and you picked the third one to be funny.
Yeah. I'm putting Monk in D.
I would agree with D.
As a person who DMs, or used to DM, nothing takes me out of my immersion more than there's a guy physically punching the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a sense of like he dropped his weapon, this is his last stand, that's all he can do. His main mode of attack is punching a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is the worst.
It's taking you out of it. Like I said, it from a role play perspective, it just doesn't really have much going for it.
From a roleplay perspective, your monks are kind of doing the same thing that a cleric is doing roleplay wise, in my opinion. Because you're not necessarily a man of the cloth, but you're like a man of the robe. You know, you have like these like ideals that you have to adhere to really roleplay a monk. I think, in my opinion. If there is a roleplay class that I would like to play out of monk, it's definitely Drunken Fist.
Yeah, out of the ones that I know, that would be the one I would want.
Playing like a monk that like got excommunicated, but he still has all his monk values, but because he's lost his monastery, he's turned to this alcoholism, which then has evolved to him being this Drunken Fist master. Kind of cool.
Yeah, I can see that. I can agree with that.
But it just isn't enough to pull it out of D.
Yeah. I'll give you that. I'm in agreement. Up next, we got Paladin, though.
S.
Tell me a little bit about Paladin.
S. Easy.
S.
Easy S.
Okay. Below Bard or above Bard?
Below Bard.
Okay.
Paladin can kind of do the same thing Bard can, where Charisma is one of your higher stats. So you can kind of like talk to people. You can convince people to do stuff. You can convince people to not do stuff. A lot of Paladins, you're playing like a very hero of the realm type. People respect you. You know, you might find out if people don't like you. In Ghoshi's campaign, your wife, I'm playing Torv, which is a character that I've absolutely fallen in love with.
Good.
I love Torv. The first character I played was also a paladin. He was your typical greatsword, big damage paladin. He was a dragonborn named Chazor the Voiceless.
Chazor.
But he was just big damage, greatsword paladin. But Torv is big shield, stand behind me paladin. And he does it very well, much to the annoyance of Ghosty.
Specifically, he does it really well because Dea's there providing cover fire for him.
So a little backstory for everyone at home. We were playing D&D, and because Torv, I have built to use a shield. He has Shield Master. He has the shield fighting style.
Yep.
Which means in those two combinations, I can like plus Shield of Faith, which bumps me up to an AC of 20. I can impose disadvantage on an enemy as a reaction. I can, after I make a melee attack action, I can then make the shove action, which I can push them 5 feet or force them prone. Which I've been using to actually push our rogue out of combat because it doesn't have to target the same enemy.
Yeah.
So a lot of times the rogue will get in and he's like, I don't have the bonus action, get out. I'm like, I got you, and I'll just boink, bounce him out because you can't take an opportunity attack if you get forced out of combat.
It's true.
I'm having a lot of fun with Torv, just standing there going, ha ha ha. But Torv is holding off 2 sea monsters. He's just taking it all in. And it's like 3-4 rounds into this combat. And Plague goes, I like to think Torv is only surviving because Dea is helping. Dea, who is Plague's Kalishtar gunslinger, shot at them one time.
No, it was more than once. So, bit of context.
He attacked them twice.
Okay.
Which was the same attack action.
Okay. So, I'm going to give you the inside of my point of view. The reason why I said that is because I was thinking of a cinematic moment between these two characters where like we're on the board of a ship playing like a movie, not like a game. Like we're watching these characters and like Torv is got his shield up and he's like blocking the sea monsters, and then like one of them goes in for an attack behind him, and then Dea's bullet just like bounces off its head and like the force pushes the monster's head back, and like I give him like a sly wink and a smile. Like I'm just talking purely from a mental image of how this fight would be going.
But also, the reason he said bullets bouncing off, Dea didn't do damage to the sea monsters.
I did some.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
It's ooh. He said, "I'm like, sure, Plague. I guess I won't have my moment."
I was just thinking of a cool cinematic moment. Because I was the only other one attempting to hit those monsters.
Yeah, that's true.
So I will say that. So there was like a good moment between us where like you're still not getting hit, but I'm just helping.
No, you said the only reason Torv
The
is not getting
only
hit.
reason was because I was helping. I'm providing cover fire.
But yeah, like I said, you can do the same thing as like a bar where you can convince people, talk to people.
Right.
You get to be that frontliner for your team. You get to be the hero complex. You get to do the man of the cloth thing that the cleric gets to do. In our party right now, we have a cleric and a paladin of the same god.
Yep.
And they've traveled together for a long time. They're adopted brothers. And their interactions are a lot of fun because Grizzly's character, who's a cleric, is like, "Oh, give us strength," and Torv, who's the paladin, is like, "My strength just comes from him. I don't have to ask for it."
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting dynamic. And they're also adopted brothers. So onto the ranger. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's a really good moment. I love the way that you and Grizzly kind of play off each other with this similar like upbringing, but two very different ways of portraying it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, on to everyone's favorite punching bag, the Ranger.
I'm gonna put it in B.
I was going to put it higher than D, which is where a lot of people think it should go. But no, I'm fine with B.
My reason being, it has the exact same things as it's a druid fighter combo.
Mm-hmm.
No other reason than that.
Fair enough.
You get the animal companion from the ranger, but you get like the bow fighting and the in touch with nature of the druid. You get, you can dual wield weapons like a fighter. You can be like the scout for your team. The ranger lets you be Legolas.
Yeah, you can be Legolas.
I mean, the fighter is more Legolas, but you get the picture. You get to be that sneaky guy who runs forward and is like, oh, 16 goblins walked through here 12 hours ago.
Yep, you can track, you can scout, you can use nature to your advantage. There's definitely a lot.
I wish favorite terrain was better.
Oh, yeah.
Favorite terrain just feels so gimmicky.
Yeah. If there was a way to change terrain to your favorite terrain, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But no, I would agree. I feel like a lot of people give Ranger too much flack. I mean, the Ranger from a roleplay perspective it can be really interesting. We've seen a really good Ranger. One of our buddies who was in our last campaign and this campaign, he played a Ranger last campaign. And, again, he was always running ahead and scouting. He was definitely the first one to kind of perceive things happening. If you can play it like that, it's very interesting. And it's a good member to have on your party.
Yeah, he played the Drake Warden, which is a very good class.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people just look at the player's handbook range and they're like, eh. But the Drake Warden's very good because you can just apply elemental damage to every attack.
Yep.
For your whole team.
Yep. There was a lot of that. That really helped us out.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm completely fine with Ranger being in B. Yep. Now let's talk about this broken piece of shit. The Rogue.
You got beef with the Rogue?
I don't have beef. It's just the Rogue is so good. We went so long.
When did you lose me?
Right after I said, but the Rogue is so good.
Yeah. Okay. 3, 2, 1. I feel like the Rogue is either A or it is D.
It's a very double-edged blade. Yeah, I get it.
So the rogue of like, I was kind of a street urchin kid. I kind of learned how to pick pockets. You know, I've come up. I'm learning how to be a normal person, but I still have these skills to my availability. Yada yada yada. I was an assassin, but now I've reverted from that. Now I'm working with the guild to. Now I'm working with a guild, and I'm only assassinating things that like goblin leaders, bandit leaders, etc. Assassinating for good, if you will.
Yeah.
And we have a player in the player that played the Rangers playing a rogue this go around, and it's very much that their character is like, I'm trying to be a better person for this group of ragtag misfits that I have now joined.
Yep. Sometimes my instincts get the better of me as a rogue, but for the most part, I'm trying to be a better person.
Yeah, but if you're like I don't sit with the party, I brood in the corner, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's a D.
Yeah.
It all started when my parents didn't show up to my birth. Like, but our experiences with rogues, I'm saying A.
Yeah, no, I feel like rogues, they do a lot of damage. It's very much, it can fall into the edgy backstory, but just because it's edgy doesn't mean it's bad.
Yep. And I feel like rogue is simple to grasp. But you roll a ton of dice, and that's really at the end of the day what it's about, right?
Yeah, you want to have fun rolling them dice. I get it.
Yep.
I get it. On to sorcerer.
I'm torn on the sorcerer. I'm kind of leaning towards C, personally.
Okay.
Wild magic is cool in concept, but it falls flat on its face, and that should be like the super fun roleplay class.
Yeah, I can completely see that.
But the roleplay table, or the wild magic table is so bland and flat that it's just. Ugh.
It's 100 different choices, right?
Yeah, and they're all just meh.
And can't you only get that if you roll a 1? Oh, son of a bitch. It's always at the same time. I swear to God, it's always right when it hits 11. Can't you only get it when you roll a 1?
Yes.
What's the point?
I think it's a 1 or a 20.
Okay, but still, what's the point?
Yeah, it's not like the wild magic barbarian where they're all pretty good, and they just happen.
Yeah.
And then like the dragon sorcerer, it's that one. It kind of falls on your DM how they're steering the campaign.
Right.
So like the dragon bloodline, or I can't even think of what the third one is. If you're like going to meet your draconic parent or your draconic ancestor, super cool.
Yeah, I get it.
It leaves a lot of time for, role play and etc. But if you never do any of that, it's like, you're just a wizard with a couple extra tricks and less spell slots. Is how it feels.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. I would say, bit of a spoiler here, I'm going to say wizard's probably the worst of the two. But
you're going to put wizard in D, aren't you?
I am planning. You know what? You want to just do that? We'll do wizard now?
You know what? Sure, because I know you're going to talk about warlock. We're putting sorcerer in C, though.
Sorcerer in C. Yeah, no, I got sorcerer in C.
I think there's plenty of opportunity for a sorcerer to really break out and be like an enjoyable character and be a lot of fun.
Not so much with wizard in my mind.
What?
I said not so much with wizard in my mind.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's talk about it because I'm playing wizard in your campaign, so I want to hear your thoughts.
So it has nothing to do with a role play element, because again, we've had one campaign with a wizard. It's just out of the magic classes, it just feels like the worst.
Because your backstory is, I'm a book nerd.
No, it has nothing to do with that in my mind, unless if that's what you're saying.
That's my biggest downfall with wizard. It's not like sorcerer where it's like my dad was dragon.
Yeah.
It's not like the warlock where like my power comes from XYZ.
Yeah. It's just I guess I have yet to see why I should play a wizard over playing a sorcerer or a bard. And maybe it's all to
Sure.
personal preference. Maybe again, I'm still new to D&D. Similar with monk. That's why I have monk in D as well, is because I haven't had enough time to see monk, and there's nothing to drag me towards that.
I have monk and D because I hate it.
Fair enough. Fair
uh,
enough.
Wizard, yeah. So if you're not playing like College of the Scribes or the basic like College of the Scribes, if you're not playing just a scribe wizard, if you're playing like a necromancy wizard or an illusion wizard, or those classes are kind of lame. But College of Scribes is, or I keep saying college. I'm just gonna call it College of Scribes is super cool because it lets you change um, your damage type on your spells,
Super cool.
which is super cool.
That does sound cool. Again, this might change after the campaign that I'm running, because I will finally have a bit of experience with a wizard. But
Yep.
wizard and monk were my two lowest before even starting this tier list, just because of the fact that everything else had something that drew me towards it, except for those two.
Mm-hmm. I'm putting wizard in C because the backstory part of it's like I just learned magic from a book, you know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, hard work and dedication and studying will pay off, but
Yeah.
I don't know, just being born with it or getting trained by a dragon is cooler.
Yeah.
On to warlock. I'm gonna put warlock at C.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna put it high. I'm gonna put it above cleric. But so I'm gonna put it high C. But
Okay. Go off, King. This is Plague's favorite class.
I love warlocks so much. I feel like warlocks, from a roleplay perspective and from like a backstory perspective, can be some of, if not the most interesting class. The idea of making a pact with some sort of something is super cool, and then like learning from your whatever your patron might end up being, getting those types of elemental attacks and stuff like that can be super cool. And it's like, I don't have to be a bad person, but I have these bad powers. Oh man, you have me sold. But then the gameplay happens.
I was wondering if you're gonna bring it to this. I would never recommend a warlock to a new player
No.
because it always feels like you're especially if you have another spellcaster in the party.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna play next to a bard, and at level 3 they have twice as many spell slots as you. And by the way, you have 2 spell slots till like level 14.
Yep. But you get cantrips.
I wondered why you had put it down to C, and that makes sense now.
Yeah.
I was gonna put in A or low S or high A.
It can.
From
It
from
can.
a purely role player perspective, I think it's an S or an A. Specifically because TikTok has ruined me, because I've seen these great D&D players role play out these things with like an archfey who isn't necessarily evil, who's just like, I offered my friendship, and in that offer somehow I became your patron, so your power comes from me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally them trying to be friends with this person they gave their power to.
I like that.
Or, the idea of I have given you my power as a patron because I am dying, so I need to train my replacement.
Right. Like, from a roleplay perspective, like I said, it's like my favorite. It's so interesting.
I will say for you, low B.
Okay.
We smack talk Cranston, who is Plague's first character.
Yep, he was my warlock.
We smack talk Cranston, but Cranston was great. I liked Cranston a lot. He was a good character.
Cranston kind of devolved into what a lot of warlocks devolve into, with such limited options and 2 spell slots. Not a lot of good subclasses, especially in like the player's handbook, where you're going to just use Eldritch Blast.
Yep.
And, that is every turn you're going to Eldritch Blast. And whenever you're not Eldritch Blasting, you're trying to Eldritch Blast. Like, there are obviously other ways to play the character, but it just doesn't get anything to stand it above or alongside any of the other classes. If anything, it is a nerfed class because, again, you only get 2 spell slots. You get access to a lot of cantrips, but cantrips are cantrips are weak on purpose because they don't cost a spell slot. And I don't know. Yeah. I would agree with, I'm going to put it dead in the middle, and that's specifically because it's one of the worst to play, but best to role play.
Yeah.
And D&D is fixing it. They're fixing it.
They're fixing it. Yep. And would you look at that, Plague? We have like a really good bell curve here.
I agree.
That's kind of wild.
That is kind of wild, but no, I genuinely think that if anyone who doesn't know D&D to look at this list, and this is a pretty comprehensive list of both not only gameplay perspective, but also from like how fun it would be to role play. What can you come up with? What would be creative enough to draw interest from the party?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I have no issues with that. Well, we're running a little late on time. Holy cow.
Yeah, we are. So I think that's where we're going to call it, Plague.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's a good episode 5.
In the bag, baby. In the bag.
A little behind the scenes. We're going to record episode 6 next week instead, but you'll still see it at the normal time.
Yep.
Because when we normally record, I will be in Chicago for Adepticon. If you're watching and you're not already coming down to Chicago with me, I go down with a group. If you're somehow watching this and you're not already there, stop and say hi. I'll be in the Age of Sigmar room all day.
All day.
All 4 days. All day, all 4 days.
Whoo, that's a lot of Age of Sigmar.
It sure is. I'm excited. It'll be a really good time.
Yeah, 100%. The next time you hear from us, the next time you hear from me, I will have already started my new job. Yep. And we will have done D&D, so there's definitely going to be plenty to talk about within a week. So I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, we're doing D&D this Saturday, so we're excited.
Very excited. Where can the people find you?
Well, like I said, I still am not back streaming yet, so pretty much here is about the only place I am. I really need to get back on my YouTube grind.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just youtube.com/JesseFish.
Very nice, very nice.
Very good, very nice. And maybe I should start recording some Helldivers content because Plague and I have been having a lot of fun playing Helldivers.
Oh yeah. Like I said, the interest is still there.
Yeah, exactly.
If you guys want to come check me out, I stream every Sunday. I've done it like 2 Sundays in a row now, so I can say that.
Oh, it's a thing now.
I stream every Sunday at twitch.tv/Big Papa Plague. I'm uploading on TikTok and YouTube under the same name. No spaces in there. And yeah, no, come check us out. If you want to watch me do some random JRPG bullshit, yeah, that's going to be the place to be. I'll probably have some bad opinions for you to make fun of.
That's probably true.
It's probably true. But yeah, no, I think episode 5 is good. It's in the bag.
It's in the bag. We're episode 5.
Episode 5, baby.
We almost have a season worth.
Yeah, we almost have a full season worth. We're like an hour and a half per episode. People can binge us now.
People can binge us now. We're bingeable.
We're bingeable. We will be starting to post the podcast on Spotify probably this week.
Yeah, like I said, guys, I'm really sorry. I kind of had some family stuff pop up.
100%.
And it just killed my extra time.
Yeah. No worries there, man. No worries whatsoever. When stuff happens, you got to be there for each other. And
exactly.
Yeah. So don't worry, it's coming this week. And yeah, I don't really have anything else.
I don't know. It was a good episode.
Good episode. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Stay hydrated. Love you all.
Toodles.